Most people assume infidelity is about desire, temptation, or lack of self-control. That assumption feels simple, but it misses something deeper and far more uncomfortable. Psychology shows that cheating often has very little to do with sex at all. By the end of this conversation, you'll understand what infidelity is really trying to solve inside a person. You'll see how unmet emotional needs, identity struggles, and inner conflict quietly push people toward betrayal. And you may start looking at relationships, including your own, with a new level of clarity. Infidelity matters because it touches something universal. Almost everyone has been betrayed, tempted, or confused by desire at some point. Understanding why it happens is not about excusing behavior, but about understanding human patterns that repeat again and again. When people talk about cheating, they often focus on the act itself, the messages, the secrecy, the physical moment. But psychology asks a different question. What emotional state made that moment feel necessary? One of the biggest drivers of infidelity is emotional neglect, even when a relationship looks fine on the outside. Two people can share a home, responsibilities, and routines, yet feel emotionally invisible to each other. Over time, that invisibility creates a quiet hunger. The human brain is wired to seek connection and validation. When those needs are unmet, the brain looks for relief, not logic. That relief often comes in the form of attention, novelty, or feeling chosen again. This is why many affairs begin with conversation, not physical contact. It starts with someone listening, noticing, or laughing at the right moment. That emotional spark often feels more powerful than desire itself. Have you ever felt more energized by a conversation than by physical attraction? That reaction is not accidental. It is your brain responding to emotional stimulation and recognition. Another powerful factor behind infidelity is identity erosion. Long-term relationships can slowly blur a person's sense of who they are. Roles replace individuality, and self-expression becomes limited. People stop seeing themselves as interesting, attractive, or capable. When someone new reflects those qualities back to them, it feels like rediscovering a lost version of the self. The affair becomes less about the other person and more about reclaiming identity. This is why some people say the affair made them feel alive. They are not describing passion, they are describing relief from emotional numbness. Dopamine, a chemical linked to motivation and anticipation, spikes in new and uncertain situations. Infidelity provides that spike quickly and intensely. But dopamine is not about pleasure alone. It is about escape from emotional stagnation. The affair becomes a temporary solution to feeling stuck. This leads to a surprising insight. Many people who cheat still love their partner deeply. That love does not disappear. Instead, it exists alongside unmet needs and unresolved inner conflict. This contradiction creates discomfort inside the mind. To manage that discomfort, the brain compartmentalizes. Love stays in one mental box, the affair stays in another. Compartmentalization allows people to act against their values while still seeing themselves as good and loyal. It's not conscious deception, it's psychological self-protection. Have you noticed how people often say, "It didn't mean anything"? That phrase is not meant to describe the behavior accurately, it's meant to reduce guilt and restore internal balance. Another common driver of infidelity is avoidance of emotional vulnerability. For some people, deep emotional intimacy feels threatening. It exposes fears of rejection, inadequacy, or abandonment. An affair can feel safer than true closeness. There are fewer expectations, less accountability, and no shared history. The connection feels intense but controlled. This explains why some people pull away emotionally from their partner while growing closer to someone else. They are not choosing passion over love. They are choosing emotional safety over vulnerability. Stress also plays a significant role. Chronic stress changes how the brain processes decisions. When overwhelmed, people seek quick emotional relief rather than long-term solutions. Work pressure, financial strain, caregiving responsibilities, or unresolved conflict can drain emotional resources. Infidelity becomes a way to momentarily escape pressure and feel grounded again. Interestingly, the affair partner often symbolizes something missing rather than something desired. They represent freedom, appreciation, youth, excitement, or control. This is why cheating patterns often repeat. The issue was never the relationship alone. It was the internal gap the person did not know how to address. Here is an important moment to pause and reflect. If someone feels unseen, unheard, or emotionally disconnected, how else might they try to feel whole again? Infidelity also connects strongly to self-esteem regulation. For some, external validation becomes the main source of self-worth. When that validation fades at home, it is sought elsewhere. This does not mean the partner failed. It means the individual relies too heavily on others to define their value. The affair temporarily boosts confidence, but it never fixes the underlying issue. Over time, this creates a cycle. Validation leads to guilt. Guilt leads to emotional withdrawal. Withdrawal leads to more validation seeking. Another uncomfortable truth is that infidelity often surfaces unspoken resentment. Small, unresolved conflicts accumulate quietly. The affair becomes an unconscious act of rebellion or emotional protest. Instead of expressing anger directly, the behavior communicates it indirectly. The betrayal carries the message the words never did. Have you ever noticed how people struggle to explain why they cheated? That confusion is real. The behavior emerged from layers of emotion they never fully examined. This is where many conversations about infidelity go wrong. They focus only on boundaries and rules, not emotional literacy. Without understanding emotions, patterns repeat. Infidelity is rarely about opportunity alone. Many people have opportunity and never act on it. Action comes when opportunity meets emotional vulnerability. The most surprising insight is this: cheating is often a symptom, not the core problem. It signals emotional disconnection, identity distress, or unmet psychological needs. That does not remove responsibility, it reframes it. Responsibility includes understanding why the behavior happened so it doesn't happen again. Healing after infidelity requires more than rebuilding trust. It requires rebuilding emotional safety, self-awareness, and honest communication. Whether someone stays or leaves, the lesson remains valuable. Relationships thrive not on perfection, but on emotional attunement and mutual understanding. This perspective does not justify betrayal, it explains it. Understanding behavior allows people to make better choices in the future. As you reflect on this, consider where emotional needs go when they are not acknowledged. Consider how silence and routine can quietly shape behavior. Infidelity is not always about sex. More often, it is about feeling alive, seen, and emotionally anchored. If this perspective challenged or clarified something for you, take a moment to sit with it. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments if you feel comfortable. If understanding human behavior and relationships matters to you, support the channel by liking and subscribing. Awareness is often the first step towards healthier connection.